Hello, I'm Rebecca Dow. I am a elementary visual arts educator in Durham, North Carolina, and I would like to show you today how to make a pop-up card. During the holidays, we're always looking for some fun things to do with family, or as educators, we're looking for some fun things that we can do in the class that are still educational or academically based. And since art is an academic subject, a core subject, this is a great way to include, do some interdisciplinary teaching. So here's an example that I created. I tried to keep it simple so that we can, so that you could kind of visualize what you would like to do. This is a great way to incorporate emphasis, main idea, and supporting details. And all kids can do this. You can do it with the younger ones with a little extra help. And there are definitely some more complex things by adding more details and additional steps that I'm going to show you today that your high schoolers or adults can just do a search on YouTube. There's a ton of videos. But again, it's just a fun way of bringing in holidays and having the kids share what they celebrate, especially right now during COVID, where we can't be together. Normally at my school, I hang up artwork for every single student for our winter concert, and we can't do that. So I'm encouraging my families at my school to do some artwork together and share what they celebrate or enjoy celebrating with their families. And we're gonna put any pictures that they submit into a virtual art show. So let's start. I'm gonna share my screen. I have a document camera set up. So the first thing that I'll go over is you need a few basic art materials. All right, you're gonna need some paper, any paper, and I would do assortment of papers. Just be careful that you don't get too thin. You don't need cardstock, but don't go too thin because it will be flimsy and not hold together. You're gonna need some kind of glue. I happen to use a combination. Some things I use glue sticks, some things I use glue. Glue sticks are the main thing that's going to be, well, especially with your little kids, glue stick might be better because the liquid glue, you know, it squirts out. It's hard to use the right amount with little ones. But the clear glue is stronger. So it might be better for some aspects of what we're going to do. But if you get the glue stick, the Elmer's glue, the extra strength glue, that should work just fine. All right, and then also you're going to need some kind of scissors. I would use some kid-sized scissors. If you're going to do some very small detailed things, I would get smaller scissors. I had to use small scissors to make my little star. And of course, you may need something to color with. If you're using construction paper or any kind of colored papers, Crayola has these amazing construction paper crayons, which are brighter and show up better on colored paper. Otherwise, markers, colored pencils, or whatever your preference is. All right, so I'm going to start by showing you the basic setup of or starting place for a pop-up. So the first thing you have to do is fold your paper in half. And I better put on my readers so I can see. I'm making this a card. But if you're a teacher or if you're doing this at some time where you're not making a card, you're just trying to, well, I guess you could make it a card if you did a different shape as well. You can always change the shape. You can, you know, a tree, a star, a house, as long as you have a section that you can create the pop-ups, then you can change the outer shape of your card anytime you want to. You can also, when you're done, you'll see you can hold it this direction, or you can do it this direction. Okay, so there's a lot of open-endedness to this assignment or to this project. Talking like a teacher, sorry. All right, so to get started, we folded our paper. The open side is away from me, okay? And I'm gonna cut always from the fold, okay? So I'm gonna show you 3 basic ways to get started. Now, my first cut determines how far out something is going to pop. All right, so I'm going to kind of stick with my example here, and I'm going to hold it as if while I was making it. So this first cut is about the same length as this first snowbank. So that cut determines how far out this first piece comes, okay? It also determines the height of your item. So if I turn this way, this cut is determining how tall the pop out is going to be, right? So when I'm done with this, you're going to see it's going to make this square. Oops, I'm getting my hand out of the way. Right here, okay? All right, so I made my parallel cuts the same length. I'm going to fold one way. I'm going to flip it under and fold it the other way. And then you're going to open the paper and you're going to push it through. And reverse that fold. So now you can see where you cut and that pop out is inside the card. And there is the square that I created. Okay, so depending on which side you want, if this is the back wall, it's this tall, and if this is the bottom of the card or the surface, the ground surface, so to speak, then it comes out that same distance. Okay. Now, the second thing is sometimes you don't want those two lengths to be the same. Sometimes we want them to be different lengths. So you would do that by starting the same way, but you're going to cut the distance first. So I'm going to start by making it short. Okay. So for example, this might be good if I want to do a series of trees in my background. Okay. So when I open this, it's only going to come away from the background this much, kind of like this little snowbank here. Okay. You can see no, you can't see. There it is. So I only cut a little bit. So it's going to come out just a little bit away from that wall. But maybe I'm going to put something very tall there, like a tree. So I need to extend the back cuts to the height that I need it for the tree. So I'm going to carefully cut, continue that cut. And with your little ones, you may want to consider making lines. That's kind of an optional thing. If you want to use a ruler to make sure they're straight, like I did cut that a little bit on an angle. That could be an issue later on, but it probably won't be. It's not too bad. All right. So now I'm going to have to, it's kind of hard to fold. You can fold it one way if you need to, if it's easier here. But you need to pop it inside and reverse the fold. So there you go. Okay. So now when I open, it's more of a rectangle, or it is a rectangle. Okay. And so I have this really tall pop out, but it only comes out on the ground level just a little bit. Okay. So there's two very basic pop-ups. And of course, you can cut out whatever you want to place, and you're going to glue here. This is where it might be good to add the liquid glue. I would not add things just yet. I would do all your cut out. I would do all your coloring first. Any coloring you're going to do on this back side for the sky or for the back wall, whatever it is that you're creating, I would do your coloring first. When you're ready to attach, I might use liquid glue here. That would just make it sturdy. Being careful, of course, not to get any off this because you never know, of course, when it'll squirt out and stick to another place. And then, of course, you won't have a pop out, right? It'll be flat. All right, there's one other pop-up that I'd like to share with you. And that is the staircase. So on this one here, I use the staircase here to be able to put this tree behind the snowbank. All right, and I only did part of a tree. It could be sitting on top of the snowbank. It could be that it's hidden. Okay, it doesn't quite matter, but you can see I put a little box on top of this one. Okay, and I'll show you how to do that. So for this one, you have to make it a little bit wider. So let's see, it's gonna come out that far, but I'm gonna make it wider, okay, because it's a big snowbank. Maybe you wanna make a stack of presents. There's a group text going on. All right, so I fold it, I reverse the fold. All right, and so there I have my first one, just like before. But now, if we look at it from this direction, I have a fold at the bottom and a fold at the top. I'm gonna cut another pop out from that fold, the top fold, all right? And this is how you kind of do the staircase effect. You can actually make an actual staircase, or in this case, maybe it's stacking books, maybe it's stacking presents. Or, and like in my case, I attached a snowbank and a tree. So I'm gonna fold it and then pop it in and reverse those folds. And when I open it, I now have this pop up on top of this one. And again, I could do another. Same way, I can add a little one. Didn't make those even. You do have to make them even because otherwise it'll be crooked. All right, and fold it. I wish you could use smaller scissors when you do something like that. And now I have a stack of 3. Okay. Now the last thing that I'll show you are on here is for the star. Okay. I have the star here, and if you can see, I do have it popping out, but I did not use one of these pop outs to do that. For this, anything you want to attach to this back wall, but it's small and you don't need to make these bigger pop outs, you can do what I call an end bracket, okay? So you would cut a little strip of piece of paper to the size that's appropriate for the item that you're attaching. I made this one a little bigger so that you could see it. And so you're going to fold it in 3s. So you can just fold back and forth like this. Get my fingers out of the way. And so you're going to hold it like it's the letter N, like nice, like be nice. Okay. And you're going to glue it that way. So you glue this side to the wall and then your object to where my thumb is. Okay. Be careful that you don't turn it around and do it as a U, because what will happen is it will just, the weight of the object that you attach will pull it and it'll go straight down. So you're going to use the strength of the end there. Okay. And those are the basics of a pop-up card. Like I said, you can do any subject. You can change the shape of the outer part of the card. When you have that set, I actually did this a little before I started attaching things to make it stronger. You can add a back sheet. So I created the pop-up on the printer paper, but then I used a piece of construction paper to make that border. So if I wanted to create something on the front as a title, I have that. It also makes it sturdier. Now you do have to be careful. Look, when I fold, see the tip of my snowman and the tree pop out? That doesn't bother me because if I were to send this to someone, I would just put it in a bigger envelope. And I'm not sending it to someone, so I'm gonna keep it. So it doesn't matter too much for me, but do be aware of that. But just to show you how, so if this were my pop-up that I was working on, you see how I have these holes here, okay? And it's kind of flimsy. So if you fold a second piece of paper, and I would use the glue stick for this, keep in mind that the glue is even a glue stick will affect the paper. It's going to soften the paper a little. It's going to wet it because it is a little bit wet. And therefore you will not be able to color on it until it dries. So when you put the paper, I would just slide it in, line up the folds, and glue to the other paper. So this paper is the same size, so there's no border. If you want a border, obviously you're gonna have to either get larger paper and cut it or buy 9x12 construction paper, and that makes a nice border for an 8.5x11 sheet of paper. All right, and that, I think, covers all the bases. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have fun. Play with it. I give my students usually one class period with some scrap paper just to kind of play with the different types of pop-ups and figure out what they'd like to do. And let's see, as far as from a teaching perspective, I'm not thinking of any other specifics. So I hope that you'll, again, have fun with this. And that's about it for now. Thanks for joining me.